Hi, welcome to Seymour's World. I'm Seymour Kazimirski at ThinkTech Hawaii. Today we have a very interesting show. We are going to talk about the U.S. military dependents. I have a program called You Are in Charge. It's a foster kids program. We don't have a lot of military dependents in the program, but one of our guests works with me as an intern. And I was so impressed with her ability to communicate with my foster kids, I asked her to come on the show. Here is the situation that we have to understand. We have approximately, if I'm correct, 1.76 million children that are military dependents in the United States. 1.76 million. Of those 1.76 million children, 19,000 of those kids have had a parent wounded in action. 2,200 of those kids have lost a parent in action, and that's just in Iraq and Afghanistan. What happens to those kids? How do they cope? How do the spouses cope? And to help me understand that and to help you understand what happens, I've invited Brittany Spain and her friend Dannielle Darcy, to come and join me today. So thank you both so much for coming, because I know it's not easy to talk about your own personal families and what's going on, but Brittany, you've helped me with You're in Charge. So I know the job that you do with kids is remarkable. I see the kids in our program, when we work together, light up. And I see the satisfaction that you get when we see that happen. So I'm assuming that what you're going to talk about today is to try to help the kids in your own personal situation, in your situation, Dannielle, and I guess in a lot of military families. I think one of the ways to look at it is, you know, when we use a number like 1.76 million children in the military, those kids have to go to school. They have to be taken care of. A father goes away, a mother goes away, they go on deployments, and I think prior to the show you said 6 months for your husband and 8 months for your husband. That's a long time. And a lot of the focus and concentration has always been on the vet. It's always been on the military person coming back from the war. And we understand the problems are getting actually worse, if not better, for your husbands and for wives of military. And I think we've forgotten that you guys at home have a situation to bear. So as we talk about it throughout the next half hour, we're going to discuss your personal lives and your situations and what you want to do. So first, Brittany, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and how long have you been here?
Well, I'm originally from Akron, Ohio, and I've been here for about 1.5 years now, since October 2013.
And you're a social worker.
And I'm a social worker.
Yes, you're going for your master's. I know that. And you're graduating
this December.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Dannielle, how about you?
I'm also from Akron, Ohio. I have been here since May of 2013.
So both of you have been in Hawaii for a couple of years, and you understand what goes on. What is your family like? Brittany, you have how many kids?
I have 2 children. They are both boys. They are 8 and 6.
And Dannielle?
I also have 2 children, both boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old.
You're not sisters by any chance. I mean, everything seems to be tied in together very nicely here. Now, in your professional life, Brittany, you have said to me that you want to help military kids. Explain the mission statement.
Well, my mission, I guess, my goal ultimately is to work with other military families like my own and to work with the children. I know that we all have what we face during deployments, the stresses, you know, the transitions, the adjustments, and I know it's a tough life, and I feel like some people feel like they're all alone, and I want them to know that they're not alone, and the kids, you know, the kids aren't alone either. You know, there are others like them going through the same things.
And Dannielle, from your part, you don't have any professional training. As a military wife and as a military mother, have you and your kids suffered while your husband has been on deployment?
We've definitely had our trials and different things that we've had to try to get through without having my husband home. I think it's a pretty common thing for military spouses. Everybody has their issues and just trying to get through the day, I guess.
What is it like when your children? I mean, when your husband is home, which he has been for years at a time, right? And then he gets deployed. You see a difference in your children?
Oh yes, boys, they like their dad, and my husband can only teach them boy things. You know, I'm a woman, I can only teach them so many things about being a boy. It's definitely hard when that's all they want. That's what's going to console them. They want their dad, and I can't give that to them. And as a mother, that's hard for me because I want nothing but happiness for my kids. And so when they're sitting there crying endlessly for their dad or wanting to talk to their dad, it's not like I can just pick up the phone and be like, okay, well, let's call daddy and you can talk to him. We wait for him to call home or him to contact.
Wow.
It makes it hard to make them understand that at their age.
So if he is in Iraq for 6 months or 8 months at a time, the contact is simply by phone or Skype or something like that, but they're missing him. They really are missing him. There's a physical and a mental process that happens. What is the result of that in your children?
With my kids, it definitely makes makes it hard. They don't, at their age as 5 and 2, my youngest was 2 months when my husband left for the first time in a while, and so he didn't really know what was going on. But for my older child, it was really hard on him because everything was changing. You know, a new brother, we were just moving, and dad left, so it was a lot of big changes. And he was 3 at the time, so he really didn't even understand what was going on. So to try to convey it into a way that a 3-year-old would understand was very difficult for me to try to do for him. And I felt like all I could do was comfort him and do other things to make him happy and keep him busy, and you know, go outside and playing with him, and keep him as busy as I can so he wouldn't think about it as much. It was usually the downtime when he has nothing to do, and is when it was the hardest.
That's when he misses his dad and he wants to be with him. So were there physiological changes as well as physical changes that you saw?
Definitely. His temper changed a lot. He was very short-tempered, which, I mean, trying to help him with that was hard, but he was angry. He couldn't tell me why he was angry. He would melt down, wouldn't tell me what was wrong. I just think he wasn't sure how to process those emotions he was having.
Mm-hmm. So Brittany, from the professional point of view, and we'll talk about your children after, what do you do when you hear a mom come to you with this kind of an issue?
I guess first off, I really sympathize with them. I mean, I've been in their shoes. You know, I still go through the same thing with my children when my husband leaves. And I mean, the only thing you can really do is to show them, you know, unconditional love, as much attention as you can, and you know, just to make sure to tell them, you know, it's okay to feel the way that you feel. You know, you're not alone. You know, and to bring them around other kids like themselves.
So the program that you have, this program at Kids Hurt Too, we'll explain about that in a minute, but the program that you want specifically to do is for military children.
Yes, yes.
And what will you do in the program?
Well, the program is aimed at bringing all the military children together, school-age children, to kind of be together and to know that there are others like them, that they're supported, and that the parents can get together as well in their own group to talk amongst each other and to support each other, and to know that they're not alone. You know, the issues that they face are similar to each other, and you know, to offer just to support each other.
These are actually very serious issues because the children are at their formative years of growth, and this is where everything is going to develop, and whether they develop a good-natured personality or a personality based on ill temper, for instance, is at this stage of their lives. And based on the numbers that we see, 19,000 children with parents wounded, that itself, I mean, just imagine if we were thinking about paper clips, and we had 19,000 paper clips on the floor, and you tried to pick one up at a time, if you could really do that for a long period of time. So it's so difficult to think that there's such a massive problem in the military. Now, how we address that at You're in Charge with our foster kids is part of the program we have that you guys are doing, which means we try to take a child from the ages of 18 on to 24 when they age out, and we try to tell them, if you want to succeed in life, you have to look at the positive side of life. We all have a lot of baggage. We all understand that there's been a lot of abuse in your life, but at the same time, you have a life to look forward to. And if you look positively ahead, you will find a tunnel. And in that tunnel, you will find a light. And if you focus on the light at the end of the tunnel, you will be able to find success in your life, whether it's education, work, marriage, happiness, etc. And that's basically what you guys are talking about. Mm-hmm. So when it goes through and you have all these struggles through the deployment stage, what about you guys? What happens to you?
I think sometimes our needs they get pushed to the side because we're supposed to be everything. We're supposed to be mom, we're supposed to be dad, or vice versa. And if you have more than one child, they need your undivided attention because you're filling multiple roles.
And Dannielle, what happened to you? Can you give us an example of what happens when your husband leaves?
Well, my husband leaves. I always give myself a 24-hour window. I have a good cry fest, and I get over it, and I put my big girl panties on per se, and I pick up the pieces, and I take care of business. I mean, that's all you can really do is just do everything that you're supposed to do. I mean,
well, you've added a second role to your life, right? You're all of a sudden mom and dad, right? You can't substitute dad. You just have to be mom and dad. So that becomes a difficult situation. Do you guys go through depression, traumas, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced depression throughout my life. Times during deployment, it does take its toll on me. But I try to look at the positive outlet and count down calendars and just try to remember that this too shall pass and that there's going to be an end to this deployment, and I just have to get through it.
Well, professional, is that the right attitude to take?
I do. I believe having a positive attitude is a great thing, and I think it reflects on the children as well. If you model a positive, behavior and positive attitude, then they're going to kind of feed off that. And
so, do you have help on the military bases where you are to help you? Are there support groups for that?
There are multiple programs that are available on base. Yes, that are very accessible to military spouses and dependents and active duty members as well.
So do you find that you as a group, I'm thinking of like a coffee party, or what did you call it before we went on air? You said you have a wine party or something?
Yeah, it's Mommy Wine Night.
Oh, Mommy Wine Night. I like that, actually. I think that's very positive. You need that. You need to get together as a group and talk about it. And I think that's supportive in itself, isn't it, to have yourselves as a group. And your program with the kids is basically the same idea, minus the wine, I'm assuming.
Yes, minus the wine.
So they get together as a group, and what do you do inside that group setting?
We open with an opening circle. We introduce ourselves. We talk about why we're there. My mom's deployed. And then we talk about, whatever we want to talk about, what they might be feeling that day, what's bothering them, and then we break out and we play. And
Wow. And do the kids open up better in that type of atmosphere?
I have found that if there are more assertive members in the group, they kind of get the ball rolling.
Really? Good. So better than having a school-type atmosphere where people are telling them what to do and this is how you control this situation in your life. First of all, they're so small anyway, right? Even teenagers are not exactly mature. So everybody needs to have that type of support group.
Yeah.
That's great. We're going to come back and talk about the Kids Hurt 2 program. All right? We just have to take a short break. I'm Seymour Kazimirski at ThinkTech Hawaii for Seymour's World. We'll be back in a minute.
Aloha, I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute and host on Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the ThinkTech Hawaii broadcast network. Ehana Kako means let's work together. Think of the sad alternative, let's not work together. Here in Hawaii, with all of our diversity and the richness of the people, it's important for us to come together around issues on the basis of what's right and what's good and what's going to serve the common good. And that's what we try to do at Ehana Kako. Every week we interview movers and shakers, people in government, business, and other sectors of society to talk about how to create together a better government, economy, a better world here in Hawaii that can bless the rest of the world. I thank you for your attention to ThinkTech Hawaii, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on the ThinkTech Hawaii Broadcast Network. We're Ehana Kako, and we wish you well. Aloha.
Hi, welcome back to Seymour's World. I'm Seymour Kazimirski at ThinkTech Hawaii. Today we're talking about military dependents and their children, something very close to my heart because most of the programs I do, including Make 'em Smile, you guys are wearing my button, thank you very much. The Make 'em Smile program is at the hospitals here in Hawaii, and the You're in Charge program, which is the foster kids program at Kids Hurt Too. So let's talk about Kids Hurt Too. You joined it as a professional intern, right? Tell us about the program. What does it do?
The program, they do grief and trauma peer support groups for children here locally on the Oahu community. Pretty much what they do, they have many different groups. Monday nights they do a children in care, which is to help children in foster care and those who have been adopted. They do a grief due to loss group, children who have lost a parent to death. And they do a separations group where children can come in who have lost a parent to, through separation through divorce or incarceration, and they have so many groups and they do amazing things.
And they have something special starting on the 15th of April, I believe, right?
Well, we pushed the date back to the fall, just to give us a little more time to plan, but. Yes, the new group is aimed towards military families. And
that's your program.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
yeah.
That's wonderful. How many kids do you think you'll have?
Our goal is to get between 3 and a maximum of 15 children.
Similar to the You're in Charge program where you can control them
Yes.
in a setting. Good. And that will be a program that you're going to lead?
I'm kind of the group coordinator on it, the program coordinator on it. Other staff members will be, facilitating with me as well.
Excellent. I think we have a picture of your children, Brittany, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can pull that up. Oh my gosh, that's your husband?
That is my husband.
And your 2 boys. And is he leaving or coming back?
He just came back in December.
And that's a photo from December when he's coming back.
Yeah.
Boy, they sure missed their dad, didn't they?
They did. They
Wow.
really did. And you can't tell in that picture, but my youngest was crying.
Oh,
Yeah.
and so were you, I'm assuming?
No, I think I was just happy. I was in the moment.
Oh, that's great. That's great. When your husbands come back, and Dannielle, I'm going to ask you this first because you're the pro, so we'll get the layman's point of view. How is it when your husband comes back?
It's very nerve-wracking. I have jitters.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's worry. I get worried a lot. Like, everything's going to be different. Like, like, are we going to be able to connect again? Get back to that husband, wife, and fall into place. Like, how are the kids going to be? Am I actually going to get time with him? But then half the time it's like I just want to let him have all the time with the kids. It's just like I'll forfeit everything because that just makes me happy just to see them all together and playing, and it's I don't know, it's fun.
What about for you, Brittany, when your husband comes back?
I feel a bit of anxiety at first. I mean,
Oh, that's the jitters.
yeah, you have to prepare. The house needs to be clean. Everything needs to be done. I feel like everything needs to be perfect before he comes home, and I put that stress on myself, I guess. But I'm happy. I feel like the load is almost falling off my shoulders to know that they're coming home.
Because he's home and now he can take the role back of dad and husband and all that kind of stuff. And the kids, are they very anxious when the dads come home? In your case, dads?
I think my kids don't quite understand it that much. I mean, like, yeah, they're excited. Dad's getting ready to come home, but I don't think they understand the time frame. So,
because they're 5 and 3.
So if I say, oh, Dad's coming home in a week, I don't think they understand how long a week is actually. But I give them like, okay, this many more nights and Daddy comes home. But every night it's having to reintroduce that, like, okay, this many more nights now. And even the day of, I don't think it's actually till the day of to be like, okay, we're going today. We're going to pick him up today. And there's been times where we've had delays in schedules and he actually doesn't come home today, which makes it hard for the kids because they're like, well, he was supposed to come home today. Where is he? And so for my kids, being as young as they are, I don't think time frame really gets them. So, but the day of, they're pretty excited, and I don't think it's till they actually see him that they're like, oh, he's here. Like, he's not on a computer screen anymore. It's not a picture anymore. Like, this is my dad. And they get really excited, and it's always fun to watch them run up to him.
And Brittany, yours are older, so how do they react?
I was really surprised at the reactions of my youngest because,
That's the 8-year-old.
my 6-year-old.
Oh, 6-year-old. Yeah.
And because he just cried, and I was really surprised because he didn't really express throughout his deployment how upset he was or how it made him feel. So to see him react in that manner, it was really surprising.
Boy, that's telling, isn't it, when you think of the psychological effect of a dad being away for 6 to 8 months and the child cries instead of screaming, daddy, daddy, daddy. So there's a child who obviously has felt something inside him that he's not been able to express for a while.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, just amazing. So Dannielle, when your husband comes home and he takes on the role of dad again, I mean, there you go. Is it difficult for you to separate? Well, I was the boss here, and I was the one taking charge of everything. How do you do that?
It's definitely hard because I'll go to do something and my husband's like, no, I'll do it. And it's like, well, it's hard to hand over that role and be like, well, I've done this the whole time. Like, I'll just do it. It's easier for me to do it. I know where everything is, instead of having to be like, no, they like it this way. Being 5 and 2.5, they are very particular about how they like things.
So they want their cereal a certain way, and
Yeah.
Dad is trying to do it a different way.
Yeah. So
And how about for yours, Brittany?
I think it's the same thing, just handing over the reins, so to speak. You've been in the leader so for 6, 7, 8 months, and then you have to hand over that kind of role to them.
I've read a lot of articles where the psychological aspect of military spouses coming home is actually very much more difficult for the parent at home than it is for the one coming home, because he's just so happy to come home, and he thinks it's an easy way to just jump back into the roles that you had prior to his being deployed. And I've often wondered if they have support groups to help the family as a whole, not just because we always hear about the vet coming home, but do they have support roles for you guys too? How to address the situation when your spouses come home?
They do, actually. Before the service member comes home, they have a program, and like a brief, if you will, of issues that you might encounter when your husband or wife comes home. And these are things you might expect, and just to know that it's not the fairy tale that everybody thinks it's going to be.
Which is, he's coming home. This is going to be wonderful. So has it happened for you? Both have had multiple deployments, right? 2 or 3 deployments.
we've gone through 3 deployments.
3 deployments, and those are lengthy, 6 months, 8 months. Wow. And each time, is it the same, or does it change each time?
I think it's been different each time. There's been different things going on in our lives through each deployment.
And your children are growing up.
Yeah, the first deployment, I was pregnant with our first child throughout the deployment, so that was nerve-wracking, like worried about him coming home. Is he gonna come home, having the baby alone, which I know many spouses do. It was nerve-wracking, just all the aspects of that deployment. I think that was the one I was the most worried through. Being a new military spouse and soon to be new mom. The second deployment, I had just had our second child. So he left when our youngest was 2 months old. So that one I think was worrisome as far as, okay, I want to make sure that he's going to know who his dad is, so that when my husband came home, that there wasn't a lot of tears and crying that he doesn't know this person. So I think that one was hard on me in that aspect, as far as making sure they're familiar with each other. And then this last deployment, my youngest was about almost 2 years old, and so he understood a little bit more, and he is a big daddy's boy, so he was not happy daddy was gone, so that made it really hard.
Really difficult for you. What about your older son?
My older son, it was hard on him. He asked for him every night. For the most part, he is a big mama's boy. He is all about mom. And so just keeping them busy and keeping them occupied, so they're not sitting there being distressed about something that we both can't control. So
Did you have the same reaction, Brittany, from your kids after each deployment? Was it different a little bit?
Well, the first time my husband deployed, my oldest was only 6 weeks old.
No.
So it was pretty much, he missed that entire almost infancy stage. And the second time, my youngest was an infant, and my oldest was like 2.5. So I thought that was tough at the time, but I think this past deployment last year was the worst, was the most difficult for
when
me.
they were 8 and 6. And why was that?
I think because they were older and they acknowledged more, and just because, you know, they were so used to doing certain things with him, and, you know, they didn't get to do that with them, so they're more aware.
You know, I think the American public, and those of you who are watching the show from anywhere in the world, our military is extremely important to us. We look at our military today very differently than we did before you guys were born, and we understand the importance of just keeping peace in our country by having a military force outside of the country. Not all of us agree with that. You know, a lot of people believe that the military force should be inside the United States rather than spread out in Korea and Europe and all the other places. We have to take care of home more than anywhere else. I think after Iraq and Afghanistan, more and more of us people, lay people outside of the military, really respect what you guys are doing. It's absolutely amazing what you have to face compared to what we face, thinking that our lives are tough, you know, after hearing what's going on. I mean, there are tears in my eyes when I hear you guys talk about some of the things you have to face. It's really quite difficult for you. Now, your lives outside of taking care of kids, do you have hobbies? What do you guys stay on base, or what do you do? Tell us what happens with your life.
Well, when I have some free time, which is not very often, being a grad student and, you know, being in interning, I really just like to sit and just do nothing. I like to read. I like to watch Netflix, you know, just not be anywhere, you know, just be focused on that particular activity.
Wait a sec, didn't I give you a job to do and you're in charge where you were going to exercise more?
Yeah, that was
Wasn't
my...
that your
yeah.
one of your 5?
Yeah.
We have 5 pieces of homework every single week that you're in charge, including the interns, and they all have to figure out what they want to do for the next week to make their lives a little bit better. So yours was partly exercise, right?
Yes, it was.
And have you been doing your workouts, whatever you want to do?
Not every day, but I did participate in yoga last week at the office.
Very good, very good, very good. And you, Dannielle, what's outside of
We
taking
stay
care of the
busy. Pretty much my whole life revolves around my kids. I hate to say that, but it's true. We spend a lot of time play dates, parks. We go for walks, go running, sports. You know, my oldest, he's just finished basketball, and we do the beach a lot. Just anything to stay busy with them, just to keep them happy. And we play outside, and the sprinkler. We have a little blow-up bounce house that we blow up out front. Just constant busyness.
So do you take care of yourself? Is there something you do for yourself?
After the kids go to bed, that's
Is that
usually my
movie
time. I
time,
might
or?
catch up on a show if I'm watching any, or read a book. You know, just, I don't usually, I'm getting better about it, but I usually don't set aside too many times for me to have my own thing.
We have something that you're in charge. I mean, you don't, this is just something we do for all of our people that you're in charge, is they have to have personal time. They have to have time where they just take care of themselves. I don't care if it's watching a movie by yourself, or exercising, or some people walking, or, you know, whatever it may be. It's just the personal time is so important, just to be able to take that deep breath and relax.
Yeah. Well, once a month during deployments, we try to do mom's night out where
Wait, I thought we called that wine night or something.
we do that also,
Yeah.
but once a month, kid-free. We try to get a sitter and pair up with our friends, and we'll trade off babysitting and try to maybe go see a movie, or just get dinner, or go get pedicures. It's something to kind of be kid-free for just a little bit.
Yeah. I think what I want to express to people, which I don't know if our audience got it, but I certainly did. It didn't dawn on me that a part of the program that you both have when you're at home and your husbands are deployed is you're worried that they're not coming back, that something could really happen, and that is, that's very tough, very, very tough. I actually couldn't imagine it. You know, the worry, the weight that you bear by worrying whether your spouses are coming home.
Combat deployments are hard in that aspect, as far as they're constantly in danger. Other deployments where they're not in combat. Those ones are a little bit easier, but you still think of training accidents and just so many other things that could happen that were accidents. And so those ones aren't as worrisome, but there still is somewhere in the back of your mind that's saying something could happen.
Yeah, especially that statistic we had where 19,000 children had a parent who was wounded in the war, and 2,200 kids lost a parent. That's a lot of kids to worry about, a tremendous amount. We're going to take a short break and end this on a much more positive note, because I don't want people to think that this is going to be a cry fest, but I do want to talk about the fun stuff that goes on in your lives. So we'll just take a short break and be back. I'm Seymour Kazimirski on Seymour's World at ThinkTech Hawaii.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Hi, welcome back to Seymour's World. I'm Seymour Kazimirski at ThinkTech Hawaii. Today's show has been a tremendous eye-opener for me, and I think for a lot of you too. I look forward to your comments. But we're talking to two military spouses. One is a professional, going for her master's on social work, that's Brittany. And another one is Dannielle, who's a military wife, who really has opened up with a lot of insights as to what goes on. Okay, so we've heard about the wine parties. We've heard about the mom's night out where you get together. Are there other issues? I mean, anything that you want to talk about that are fun that goes on in your lives? It can't, I mean, you say you take care of your kids 24 hours a day. I understand that. What else do you do?
I honestly, it's just, just spending time with them, watching them play sports or just watching them run around and play with their friends. I mean, that to me is fun,
Do you feel that they're growing up well? Do you feel that they're in great shape and, physically and mentally?
Yeah, I think my kids, they're pretty active. Sometimes too active, but yeah, they're happy. I just try to keep them surrounded by people that are going to be positive influences on them and just keep them around friends.
It's so interesting. I go to Kaneohe Marine. You're both from Kaneohe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go to Kaneohe Marine Corps, the Clipper course, to play golf. And I've noticed all the sports facilities they have for the kids now. They even have an ice rink there. I don't know if that's still there or not, whether they use that ice rink, but they had an ice rink where they can play field hockey and that kind of stuff, and a beautiful golf course. I mean, the military does try its best to take care of you and the kids, but this program that you're going to be, do you have a name for it yet, or is it just part of Kids Hurt Too?
It's just part of Kids Hurt Too.
Okay, and it'll be a military-dependent program. I think it's fantastic. Can you describe a little bit about the consistency that's required in getting these kids on the right side of the thinking of deployment?
I think that we just, each family's different, but I think we need to be conscious of, the feelings that they might be having, the children's, that they might be having as a result of, the upcoming deployment, during the deployment, and after the deployment. Kids react differently. They might act out. They might, have issues in school. Even infants, they might cry more. I mean, you'd be surprised how young a child could be, and they react to these kind of situations.
And you'll be addressing those situations inside your group?
Yeah, we'll be talking about it. It's very open and it's very honest, and we want everybody to be honest, and that way,
Would you mind if people contact you? Because we do have a lot of military people. So can we put up on the screen your contact information by email? So Zori will put that up, and then we'll be able to show where they can contact you or how to get in touch with you, and maybe you can talk to them individually about what's going on in their lives. So Dannielle, where are you off to from here? You have another deployment, or are you staying in Hawaii?
We do have another deployment coming up. Right now, we're not sure exactly when, but yes, we have another deployment. We won't be leaving here for another year at least.
So you're here for one more year.
Yes.
And how many places have you been to?
We have been lucky. We've been back to Hawaii. This is our second time. We were stationed mainland for a little while, and we were lucky enough to be near family and have that support system, and for my kids to get to see their family. It was great.
Oh, that's terrific. Always in the States, or have you been deployed outside of the U.S.?
My husband, he has been deployed to Iraq, and he went to the Republic of Georgia, and then they did a deployment to Okinawa.
To Okinawa. So Japan, Georgia, and Iraq. Oh, God, that's unbelievable. And you? Are you staying here for a while?
Yes, we'll be here till the end of 2016.
And where have you been?
I've been to back and forth from Hawaii to North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your husband was stationed as well?
Mm-hmm.
And where has he been deployed to?
He's been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Okinawa. Yeah, he's been on a MU as well, a ship.
One last question that I have before we wrap up. What do you think the military can do to make your lives and your children's lives better?
Well, I think they're making great strides in recognizing the needs that we have, and that military children, they do face separate difficulties that might be different from mainstream society, and I think that they recognize that children might have more depression, more anxiety. Teen suicides are up with military children, and that they recognize these needs, and they're providing more programs, and that's what Kids Hurt Too hopes to do as well.
Wonderful. And Dannielle, from just the mother's point of view, that's the professional point of view. What about from the mom's point of view? What would you like to see the military try to do to help?
I like Brittany's program. I think that it's going to be a good help to a lot of people. With other programs that are structured where they're trying to fix you, I feel that Brittany's program is just going to be an outlet to just let people talk and vent and get their troubles out without somebody saying, this is how you need to fix this problem. Sometimes it's good just to get a good release on your emotions and tell somebody how you're feeling, and it makes things better without that title of you're going to therapy, and I think that tends to push people away from wanting to talk.
Interesting. So the support issue for you is not a professional requirement. It's the support issue of just being with a group of mothers and parents like yourselves, fathers too, obviously, who are home, and just being able to talk and let the kids talk and open up. I find it difficult because I'm a very structured person, so I'd like to know what goes on in a program. What I'm hearing from both of you is that your program is basically allowing the child and yourself to just talk amongst each other without having a professional telling you what to do. Is that a good interpretation?
Yeah, it's a good interpretation. We let the kids play, and they're in a safe environment, and they just let it out. If they want to yell, they want to scream. If they, we have what we call the volcano room. So if children, they're feeling angry or aggressive, they can go in. We have these huge stuffed animals, and they can just jump around, and they need to let that out. And the facilities that we have, it's a great way for them to do so.
Cool. Dannielle, how about for you? Do you feel that that's the way to really help the kids, or do you feel more professionalism is required?
I feel like they just need that release. They don't really know how to handle their emotions very well. Yes, getting tools and ways to cope are great, but sometimes they're not going to do the effect as far as what she says at the volcano room, just going in and screaming. I mean, sometimes when you feel frustrated as an adult, sometimes just letting a big scream out makes you feel better, and you're able to then move on and deal with your emotions properly.
Well, you guys have just been terrific. When we talked about this show, and you said, what are we going to talk about? I said, don't worry, there's a lot to talk about. And I think you've opened my eyes, and you've opened our audience's eyes to what goes on behind the scenes in a military family. None of us knew it, obviously, because we're not in your shoes. But to understand the traumas that you face and what your children are facing when your husbands and wives are deployed, it's something that is not very easily recognizable by the general public. And you've opened our eyes up, and we thank you so much for everything that you've done. It really is wonderful. So I want to wish you both goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow at You're in Charge. Tomorrow is our support group, actually. We talk about support tomorrow, which will be wonderful. Thank you very much for coming, Dannielle. It's very brave of you to come on such short notice. You've done a terrific job. You both have.
Thank you.
I will say goodbye to our audience. I thank you very much for watching and listening to Seymour's World. Next week we have not a repeat show, but we have Bernard Offen, who's a Holocaust survivor from Poland, who's coming to talk to us about what his life is about today. If you want to look up his last show, you can go to thinktechhawaii.com and go under the host. You'll see my name, and you'll find Bernard Offen just about a year ago. I think he came on our show. And that was about his life in Auschwitz in the Holocaust. What you'll see next week will be his life today. So I wish you all well. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. Keep your comments coming. I will try to answer every single email and text that I get. Aloha, I'm Seymour Kazimirski from Seymour's World.